Today we're going to be looking at Activity 2 using database software. The first part of this question is to add the new customer to the database. These are her details here. So we open up our database and we type in their details, but be very careful and accuracy as paramount. For the newspaper, we're looking for the male. However, we can see that male doesn't fit in this news ID section. So we have a look at the other tables that we have, and we have a newspaper table here. Now, if we have a look, we can actually see the male, which is NE04. So we go back and finish the 04. Okay. The final part of this question is asking us to sort the table into ascending order of last name. Now, we can just click here and to sort ascending A to Z. However, it's good practice to be using the advanced option, as we can sort on more than 2 levels. So we're going to go to our advanced filter sort, and from there we go to our last name and we choose our sort criteria, which is ascending. Next, we need to apply this. If we have more than one, we can add them along like so, and we can sort on more levels. So we're going to apply the filter like so. For the next part of the question, it says we need to paste the results into word processing document. To do this, it says we need to set the orientation to landscape, and all the data needs to be displayed on one sheet of A4. Now we have our Microsoft Word opened. We go to our layout. We need to change the orientation to landscape, and we need to copy and paste the results into our Word document. However, it says that we need to make sure it fits on one page. Unfortunately, there's 4 records here that seem to move on to the second page. So the first thing we try is we go to our margins, and we want to reduce these to narrow margins. And by doing this, we can see everything fits on one page. But ensure you have your footer there with your name, task, and the center number. We're now going to have a look at task DB2. For this, they require a list of customers who live in Crofton. So we go back to our database, we look at our customer table, and we need to create a query. So we go to create, and then we're going to go over to query design, and we add the customer table. Now we need to know which fields that they require. So if we have a look back at the question, it says that they need to show all fields. So to display all fields, we select all the fields by double clicking on them like so. And to find all the people that live in Crofton, we have a look at our town and the criteria, which is Crofton. We run that report, and we have a list of all the people that live in Crofton. To save this, we close the table like so, and we say we want to save it, and we're going to call this task DB2. Now, initially, you can't see it on the navigation on the left-hand side, so we need to select tables and make sure we go to all access objects, and that way we can see our queries on the left-hand side. Okay, now we're going to have a look at the second part of the question, DB2B. Fiona and Jonathan want to list the customers who registered on the shop on or before the 1st of January 2003. And they only want to show these fields. So we don't add all the fields, we only add these selected fields. And they want it in ascending order of registration. So let's go back to our database. We're going to create again a query design. We're going to add the customer table. And this time we're only going to select the fields that they've requested. which is title, first name, last name, street, town, postcode, and registration. Now they specify that they when all the customers who are registered with the shop on or before the 1st of January 2003. So again, we use our criteria. We go to registration. So on or before is we're using our less than or equal to sign. The 1st of January 2003. If the question said customers who registered before the 1st of January, then this is how the criteria would look. But because it is on or before, we use our equal sign. Next, they specify it needs to be an ascending order of registration. So we go to our registration, we go to our sort order and ascending. And when we run this report, these are the results that we have. However, for this question, it says display the query search in design view. So for the design view, we click on the view option and we go to design view. Now this is what they want a screenshot of. So for this, we go to our print screen option. We go back to our word processing document. And we paste it in like so. Now we can crop this down further. If we click on the image itself, we go to format, crop, and we can crop in to show the information that we require. Once you've done this, it's always a good idea to make sure you stretch it across the page so the examiner can see this clearly. This is what they're looking at. For task DB3, we need to use two tables. We need to use the customer and the newspaper table. Now, Fiona and Jonathan want to list the customers who live in the Horbury area and receive either of these two newspapers, the Informer or the Daily Eye. We're going to go to our Create, our Query Design, and again, we're going to use two tables this time, the customer and the newspaper. Now, as you can see, they are linked, and the relationship is linked through the news ID. Okay, the fields they want to show is all fields. So we have our fields, we insert them like this. Now, the first thing we need to do is to look at the newspapers. So they either receive the Daily Eye or the Informer. So we find our newspaper field, and the criteria will be the Daily Eye or the Informer. So we have our two newspapers. The criteria is the Daily Eye, as you can see here, or the Informer. Now, these are only for people that live in Horbury. So we go over to our town, criteria, Horbury. Now, if we ran this report, it wouldn't be correct because the town needs to also be below like so. As we're looking at Horbury and the Daily Eye and people also in Horbury that receive the Informer. Once we have this, we run this report and we can see these are the people that receive both newspapers in Horbury. And then we're going to save this as task DB3. For the last part of the database questions, DB4, Fiona and Jonathan want a database report based on the results carried out in task DB3. So they want a report showing these results, this data. They also want us to sort them in ascending order of last name within ascending order of newspaper. They want us to show only the fields newspaper, first name, last name, and postcode in this order. They want us to add a suitable title, and they want us to customize their headings to make them easier to understand. We can close this, and we have an option to save, and we're going to save it as task DB3. Now, if you're wondering where all your queries have gone, you need to select here tables, and access all objects. That way we can see all the queries that we've created so far. Go to Create, Report Wizard, and we need to select the query task DB3. As you can see, we have the tables and the queries we've previously created. We go to task DB3 and we select the fields that they require, which is newspaper, first name, last name, postcode. We go to next. How do you want to view your data? Next, any grouping? There's no grouping specified. And the sort order. Now, they've specified they want the results in ascending order of last name within ascending order of newspaper, which means we need to put the newspaper first with a secondary sort of last name. We go to next. This is the layout, how we want to lay it out, whether they specify portrait, landscape, and different types. Next, and the title. Now, if we have a look back, the title is based on task DB3. So the report is showing a list of customers who live in Horbury and receive either the Informer or the Daily Eye newspapers. Okay, we're going to add the title later. Click on Finish, and it gives us an outline of our report. But there's still a lot of work to do before this report is ready. Because this is based on task DB3, DB3 were showing customers who live in Horbury and received the Daily Eye or the Informer newspaper. So that's what we're going to put for our title. Customers from Horbury who receive either the Daily Eye or Informer newspaper. The next criteria is to show these fields in this order. Newspaper, first name, last name, and postcode. If we have a look, we've got newspaper, last name, first name, and postcode. So we need to swap these over. Now to do this, we can just select them and move them like so. Okay, and their next requirement is to customize the headings to make them easier to understand. So these are the headings here. If we have a look, these are the headings. So we need to change these headings to make them easier to understand. So F name should be first name, L name, last name, and P code is postcode. Now, don't change these because they are the field names that relate to the results. These have to stay the same in the detail. We're only changing the labels. So we have newspaper, first name, last name, and postcode. And next you need to add your name with the task and the center number. So we remove this and we insert our option, our labels here, which will be task db4, your name, and your center number. And when we have a look back, this is ready for printing.